over here, guys? Anything you picked up so far that's been a bit of a golden nugget? Oh, no! I asked you, Blondie. No? Pass. Okay.
Not using like Gmail or Yahoo.
Yeah, get rid of the stuff. It makes you look like a small business. When you're small, you want to look what?
Big.
Big.
The whole domain thing, because that wasn't something I'd ever thought about.
Okay.
You only get like what you ask for.
Yeah, in many ways you get what you deserve, but you also get what you ask for. What's the worst thing someone says? No. Okay?
The rich are right. I'd way rather be rich.
I remember when my brother used to work in a gay area of Toronto, and there were all these gay guys that had these T-shirts. I said, "Gee, I wish I was rich instead of sexy." So, what do you guys picked up?
I maybe did the Fiverr, like the logo, $5 logo.
Like stupid cheap, right? And it makes you look so much bigger. It makes people think that it's inevitable. You're doing something with this. Visuals are taken in by the mind something like 60,000 times faster than text.
Yeah.
60,000 times. What about up here? Big takeaway?
Yeah, mine was the unmovable dates.
Okay, which you have as unmovable dates, okay?
Competitors versus competition.
Okay.
Delete.
So you're the second time round. What's different the second time round from the first time round?
Well, that whole section that you had on kind of those 10 steps.
Yep.
Like your first presentation was very much driven, I found, on like taking that leap, having that strength, and that's what I took away
Okay.
from it is if you have a dream, go after it, do it, love it, make it your life, make it who you are. And it's a lot more of this is how you take that to the next step. This is what you're doing to get to that point.
Okay. Mr. Switzerland?
Ask the right question.
Oh, yes, right? So sometimes we get a no. It's not because there's no interest. We didn't ask the right question.
I had a quote called "For all the right answers, the wrong questions get you."
Julian Gordon, I love that guy, okay? And he's just some sort of, I don't want to call him middle of the road, but he's not a well-known guy. But when I saw that quote, I was like, wow, that is a total winner. What about down here?
Just ask.
Ask.
Yeah, the ask.
Okay.
Everything.
Everything! Okay. Everybody's my customer. Okay.
When you were talking about domains,
Yes.
you suggested to avoid GoDaddy.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because GoDaddy will nickel and dime you to death, and I've had lots of students who've had lots of problems, and it seems every time there's a problem, guess what? It's always with the same person. So I'm just helping you benefit from the bad experience my own students have had. A question up here, then over here, and then we'll move on.
Not so much as a question, but for your tech person, my partner that's online, she says you guys keep cutting out a lot, so I don't know if you're aware of that.
Who was your partner's name?
Karen Johnston.
Okay. They haven't mentioned it in here. The majority of people say they're not having an issue, so it could just be her connection.
Okay, I'll let her know.
I was going to say, sometimes I get a little loud, and it sort of, the mic cuts off. I have to be careful when I'm on the phone, because that kind of happens. Yes?
I would never recommend GoDaddy to anybody. We did it. Cost us over $500, actually way more than that, and we had not a single sale for an entire year. And it took more than 3 weeks to get just a portion of what we had available for sale online. So it was very labor intensive.
They're good marketers, I give them that much.
Yeah, they're good at marketing
Yeah.
their business.
Yeah.
So what instead of GoDaddy then?
Sorry?
What would you use instead?
So I use something used to be called Domain Discover. It's now called Tierra.net. It's a little more expensive, but here's the cool thing. There's a lot of stuff that GoDaddy charges for, they give you for free. So if you want to take your domain name and redirect it to a Facebook page, right, or redirect it to an event at Eventbrite, which some of my students do, right, you can do that, and you can do it on the fly. It's really easy. It doesn't cost you anything. You can set up a fake email. So you get a domain name with Tierra.net, and you don't have time to set up the email. You create a bogus email. Let's say, what's your first name?
Tyree.
Sorry?
Tyree.
Tyree, and do you have a name for your business?
Yonkers.
Okay, Terry at Yonkers, but it's not a real email address yet. But you can redirect it to something else, and no one will know.
It's called Beyond Curves.
Oh, Beyond Curves. Okay. But you see what happened? That's what's called word of mouth. So instead of it working against you, find a way to make it work for you. I went to work for a company once. They were called Seekway. You want to guess how you would spell Seekway? C-Q-U-A-Y. Which makes sense when you say it, but people won't think of this. One of my favorite stories is about a guy kind of like me who lives in Texas. He was on his way to New York, and on this plane he sat next to a lady who had really nice cowboy boots, right? And it turns out it was his wife's birthday coming up, and he was thinking about getting her some nice cowboy boots. She says, well, I'm a custom cowboy boot maker in Houston. So while he's on the plane, got his Wi-Fi, right? He looks up custom cowboy boots Houston. And he says, is this in any of these years? No, it's not there. You have to type in Jeannie's custom cowboys Houston, right? So word of mouth, it works against you or it can work for you. So we've got an idea, we turned it into a business, we got some customers, now we want to grow, we need some money. We need to pitch. Learning to pitch can take a long time. Lots of people make lots of mistakes. and I'm pardon my use of the term, I got shit-ass lucky the day that I pitched to the person I pitched to. I just happened to, having been in sales for 20 years, knew a little enough about sales, and I just happened to say the right thing to the right guy at the right time. But I did it on the first try, and it's hard. So what I'm going to share with you is some of the things that I recommend. I do pitch coaching now for lots of different pitch competitions, so I'm going to give you all the stuff that I normally give. So what am I trying to accomplish with this presentation? I want to turn everybody here into a rock star. That's my goal, okay? Now, I tend to focus on first-time entrepreneurs or early stage, but I want you to be a rock star presenter. How do you get good at being a rock star presenter? Repetition, okay? Don't be afraid. What's the worst thing that happens? They laugh at you and you learn, right? So I started to speak because it was one of the ways that I was making money. And a few years ago, I went to a big oil and gas conference. It was a student energy conference. It was being held at a big room in the Taos Convention Center, 400 and some odd oil and gas executives and students. And I went as a guest of the organizer of the event. And then 10 minutes before the event starts, he comes to me and says, Craig, I have a problem. The keynote speaker just bailed. I need a 25-minute speech on the power of legacy. What could you do in 10 minutes? And I'm like, I don't know what I can do. And I was like, I panicked. I totally panicked. Like, okay, how am I going to build a speech in that time frame? There's no way I could structure something that would make a lot of sense. So I went downstairs and I said, okay, what can I do? And what I realized is all I had to do was tell a bunch of stories, stitch the stories together, and use the word legacy a few times in the presentation. Which is basically what I did. This was totally ad hoc, like 400 plus people, big audience. I gave this, right? And at the end of the presentation, I made sure everybody in the room knew what just happened. And I said, just so you know, I actually was not the original speaker. They came to me 10 minutes ago and asked me if I would do this. And people came to me and said, now, how do you do that in 10 minutes? Now, that was just a little luck. But the cool thing is now that I have total confidence. If it's 300 people and I have 15 minutes, what do I say to myself? It's easy, right? So just do it until you get good at it. The first presentation I ever gave was to 12 students at what used to be called DeVry. And one student in there went and told an instructor. I went back 3 weeks later and I gave one for a class of 75. One of the students in there had a dad who was involved in some sort of conference. And I offered to give a speech on networking. It was my first topic that I gave speeches on. And they gave me a room at this trade show at the Roundup Center. And I told the people I was going to give this speech. And when I went to check out the room basically was laid out like a class and it had 35 seats in it. Now I was single at the time and I'd actually just gone on a blind date with the lady who runs the facility. So I found her office and I said, can you do me a favor? I need some more chairs because I think there might be more than 35 people in the room. And I said, what's the fire code for that room? She said, the fire code is 85. Right now it's set up for 35. So I could put 50 chairs outside, or 50 chairs, yeah, I could put 50 chairs outside, right? So that happens. I go into the trade show. I come back about 5 minutes before it's my turn to speak, and guess what?
35.
There's no chairs. And I'm like, how can there be no chairs? And guess what happened when I went in the room?
They were all there.
They were all there, and people were lined up around the walls, around the outside of this room, 125 people. I had a water on a podium with the lid off. And I went to grab it. What do you think happened? All over the poor guy in front of me. Now, I was lucky enough that somebody videotaped the whole thing, and I learned by watching. So that was 125. When someone said 150, okay, stretch. So always try to find a way to make yourself uncomfortable. I wish I would have had this on one of my slides. So this little circle down in the bottom corner here, that's your comfort zone. Okay? But way up here, the big one is where the magic happens.
Yeah.
So what you have to find a way is just get beyond your comfort zone. No pain, no gain. So this is what I've learned. I can do this now on almost any topic, and I have an opinion about everything. Doesn't mean I'm right, just means I have an opinion, okay? So, Rockstar presentation. So what's inside? So I'm going to share with you some best practices. I'm going to give you some examples of what slides look like before and after. And I'm going to give you a different bunch of formats you can use. So whether you've got 3 minutes or 20 minutes, you can use these different formats, okay? So, best practices. The first thing, tell your story. People want to know, who are you? How did you get here? Why should they listen to you? How did you come up with the idea? Okay? Use animations. So when I say animations, did anybody notice what just happened?
I got a cartoon in my head.
No? So I'm using animations in my slide. I'm putting up one bullet point, I'm bringing it out while I get to the next one. You need to control the audience's attention. If you put up all the bullet points, what are they going to do?
Read them all.
Read. And people, whether we like it or not, can't multitask. They can't read and hear at the same time. Okay? When you finish your presentation, you always end with a what? An ask. And it is not about the money. It is about more, and I'll share with you. I've learned the power. You need to show people, not just tell people. I learned this actually by doing lots of presentations for Aboriginal entrepreneurs. I couldn't tell them stuff. I had to show them stuff. So if you're telling a story, it's always a good idea, if you can, in any way, shape, or form, to act out that story. Show people, don't just tell people. Anybody notice that I tend to use visuals? Right? There's not a lot of bullet points. You want to, when you have a slide and you put something up in your pitch, you say the what, so you show the what, you say the why, or the how, and I'll show you how that works. And you want to leverage this crazy thing called confirmation bias. If people see themselves using your product or service, they see other people using your product or service. So one of the things that I love to do when I'm teaching people how to pitch is you start a pitch with a question. How many people in the room would like to lose 10 pounds? How many would like to lose 10 pounds? Okay? You see what just happened? If I have an idea for something that helps you lose 10 pounds, I now all these people are interested. Okay? How many of you have kids? Okay? So now all of a sudden I know there's an audience. And as soon as you can start engaging people like this, it's amazing how that bias totally takes over. I'll give you some examples. I'm also a big fan that you don't memorize a presentation. You might memorize the first 30 seconds and the last 30 seconds, but the rest of it is a story. So almost none of this today is practiced. This just happens on the fly. So when I come up with different things that go up on the board, that's basically stuff I haven't thought of, it just comes up and I leverage it when it happens. If there are things that I wanted to use but I don't use, who's the only person that knows I didn't use it?
You.
Me. And that's the beauty of using pictures instead of words. I have a presentation that I give for corporations. It can be 25 minutes long or an hour and a half. It's the exact same slides. The stories I tell and how I engage the audience is different. It's the exact same slides. So what I think is really important, part of what I talked about, tell your backstory. How did you get here? my name is, and let them know what your journey has been. So one of the things I did when I talked to this guy named Tim Draper, I told him I had this crazy idea. I told him I put my career and my life on hold and invested every penny I had in this idea. That tells him I'm committed, but that backstory is part of what helps him understand how committed I am and why what I had was a really good fit for me. I was a sales guy for 20 years who just got lucky. My idea was basically this. What I had figured out is there are 3 million B2B salespeople in North America. And every single one of them learns of about $1 million worth of stuff their customers want, but it's not what that salesperson sells. Who's here really good at math? Okay, what's 3 million times $1 million? $3 trillion in the heads of, worth of information in the heads of salespeople, which they do nothing with 75% of the time. Right? I knew this, I knew what to do with it, and because of my background, there was a fit between my idea and what I was trying to sell to this guy named Tim Draper. Okay? You're in front of an audience, whether it's 50 or 500. There's lots of people here that would love to help you, but if you want their help, you have to what?
Ask.
You have to ask. And you ask for something other than just the money. I went to the Banff Venture Forum. There were 52 companies that pitched at this venture forum. I don't think I saw anybody ask for anything except for money. But what do you want outside of money? Mentors, partners, advisors, customers, right? I think it's important to always have something in your back pocket. When people might say, I love your idea, how can I help? And that's when you pull this thing out of your back pocket. I love an introduction to who is that person that could help you move your business forward. So when I went down to California, my problem became very quickly that I knew nobody down there. And as a guy who has thousands of friends, writer connections in Calgary and 22,500 on LinkedIn, when I first moved to California, I knew nobody. And this guy named William was a friend of Tim Draper, the guy that gave me money, said, Craig, you've got a really cool story, how can I help? And for whatever reason, without thinking about it, I said, I would love an introduction to a person named Guy Kawasaki. And you'll see Guy Kawasaki in my slides. Very famous venture capitalist, who was an Apple advocate for a long time, cool guy. And William's like, well, guess what? Guy Kawasaki is a friend of mine. Here is his cell phone number. Call him. Tell him I told him he needs to give you 20 minutes. So always have an ask. Okay? Pictures are more powerful than words. Too many people start out by putting paragraphs on a slide. Get rid of your paragraphs, put a sentence in its place. Okay? The next time you go back, take the sentence out, put in a bullet point. Okay? When you get your bullet points, take the bullet points out, put pictures instead. And then what happens is you'll end up putting one picture in instead of several pictures, and then you'll find a way to take the picture and make it the entire frame instead of something that just occupies part of the slide. One picture, one bullet point, sometimes pictures with nothing give you lots of flexibility. When you only have 5 minutes for a pitch or 15 minutes for a pitch, maybe you're taking a little too long and you need to play catch up somewhere along the way. By having pictures, people don't see all the stuff you were going to say, but no longer have time. And if you see the audience is engaged at a certain point, you want to spend more time on something, that allows you the flexibility to spend more time on that piece. Here's an example. Okay? Here's an example of a paragraph. And you're all reading it now, aren't you? Right? See how that happens?
It's
So,
too big.
sorry?
It's too big.
It's too big, right? Once you finish, so you can do this, or you can do this. Right? Once you've finished, you want to make sure investors can see you've got a really big idea, that you're passionate, and you've got more than just you involved in what you're doing, that you have a way to get out of this business. Why do investors give you money? To make money. How do you make money as an entrepreneur? You sell your business. You make 10 times more money selling your business than you do running it. Investors give you money so they will make money. Now, granted, angel investors might be slightly different because they like you and they want to be involved, but for the most part, sophisticated investors are in it for the money. So you want to make sure that they understand you have a way to get out, that you have something already up and running if you can do that, that you have customers. Just because you have customers doesn't mean you're golden, because a lot of people when they start have customers but don't have any what? Revenue. So you need to have customers and revenue, and you've got this really big market of all the hungry people in Lethbridge that I can serve. But the important thing is you want to make sure the investor knows you have expertise or experience in an industry and you have relationships. Why are relationships so important? Sorry?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, maybe. Okay? But why are relationships so important? Industry relationships.
People like to relate.
Cross refer, entirely possible.
I always found the piece where you can't know everything, so surround your people with people who do know things.
So yes, having relationships allows you to get stuff done a whole lot faster, right? So when I had this crazy idea for this 5-day event, I told one guy who emailed 15. Next thing you know, I got a 5-day event. Now, it wasn't quite that easy, but that's basically how it happens. But what happens is there's this thing called transactional velocity. So if you phone up a total stranger and say you want something, you have to go through this song and dance before you finally build enough, I think it was trust the word I heard over here, before people will actually do something. When you have these relationships, it's really easy to pick up the phone and call someone and say, hey, Bill, Mr. Gates, I've got this idea. I need an introduction to Barack Obama. Can you do that for me? When you have those relationships in place, stuff happens a whole lot faster. So as soon as you have those relationships, if you don't have them yourself, how do you get them? So you want to network to get a very specific person to help you. Who do you want to have on board your team? Mentors or advisors, people that have industry experience. I saw 2 crazy kids one day, engineers, Stanford University. So I went down to California and I had a chance to pitch to a group of angel investors, 140 of them. They're all worth in excess of $10 million, most of them worth over $100 million. So imagine 140 of them. It's a lot. It's a lot. I call them whales. Okay. Yeah. So these are not the minnows. These are the people that have money. So I went to watch this scenario to see how it's done, so I could then go pitch myself the next time around. But what I saw was 2 engineers from Stanford, and you get 7 minutes at this pitch, and they say who they are and what they've created. They have created some clothing that has a fuel cell in it. Anybody know anything about hydrogen? When you burn hydrogen, what do you get? Water. And heat, right? So they're halfway into this pitch, and they've got this idea for clothing that has fuel cells in it that you can then get instant warmth. And they asked the audience a question: how many of you think this is a crazy idea and you would never invest? And almost every guy and every gal in the room puts their hand up. They've said, well, we're going to tell you one thing. What you need to know is we have a person in the company, and he is the last CEO of North Face. Now, how many of you think this is a stupid idea? And nobody put their hand up. So by having that mentor and advisor, it gives you a ton of credibility, and even though you don't have industry experience or relationships, those are the people that are really well connected that can open doors. So people look for businesses that have the expertise from an industry perspective, but also have relationships, can get stuff done in no time flat. I am not a shy guy. Right? I will pick up the phone and I will ask for help. And right now, this thing I'm working on for 150 startups, I'm amazed how I take one person for coffee who just happens to be on an innovation committee, reports directly to Minister Baines for the federal government, right? So, but that one person all of a sudden now has these relationships, and there's this thing called credibility. So trust is part of it. So if all of a sudden Jason says I'm a great guy, because Jason's a great guy, I automatically have the credibility that he then brings with me. So make sure that when you're finished the presentation, that people understand that's part of what you have on your team. So now the question is, what do you put on your slides? What you put on your slides is the what. The secret is, what do you say? And once you've got something up on your slides, you say the why that is up there or how you're going to get that done. So the visuals are your what What you say is the why or the how. And like I talked about confirmation bias, it is binary. People will get your idea in 10 seconds or less. They either see themselves or someone they know using your product or service, and they get your idea, and they see it has potential, or they don't. And it's like that. So that's why I'm a big fan. When you get a chance to start a presentation like this, you always start with and end with a question. Okay, the first one is, how many of you would like to lose 10 pounds? How many of you know someone who's diabetic? But just some things people go, oh, it's for that. Okay? Memorizing your entire speech. In my case, what I had was I actually had it all written down, and I hadn't quite memorized it, but I was pretty strong on the front end and pretty strong on the back end. When I started to speak, I was always taught, you can, if you rock the house in the first 2 minutes and the last 2 minutes, they'll almost forgive any mistake that you make in the middle. And the hardest part, how many of you were downhill? Anybody here a downhill skier? Right? Anybody hardcore downhill skiing? Like hardcore? So I was a pretty hardcore downhill skier. What's the hardest part of when you do hardcore runs? When are you most likely to fall? The first 10 feet. And as soon as you get momentum, you're off to the races. Giving presentations is the exact same thing. When you get some momentum, then you feel comfortable, your nerves go away, and you're just telling stories. And if at the end you got your last 30 seconds memorized, didn't matter how bad you were in the middle, if you can finish really strong, that's the piece that they remember. So don't feel like you have to memorize the entire presentation. The secret is to understand how many words would you say in 30 seconds? So if you're writing this out, how many words do you think you would say in 30 seconds? The average person. I might talk a little faster than most.
I think it's 75 or so.
It will be most of us talk at about 125 words a minute. So you get 60 or 65 words you can memorize on the front, and 60 or 65 on the back, and the rest of it, you're just telling your story. So you're more likely to get the money when you do a bunch of different things. One, use as many visuals as possible, use as few words as possible. People see themselves using your product or service, so it's relevant to them. There are no red flags. It is not about going through an entire presentation having all the the boxes all checked off. It's at the end of the presentation, there are no red flags. And what do you think is the biggest red flag to an investor? What can you say to them that destroys your credibility almost instantly?
I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with that answer, but I will go find out.
Okay.
Do you want to guess?
I think lack of confidence.
It's not lack of confidence.
They have no customers.
Almost. It's when they say we have no competition.
Yeah. A lot of people say that too.
We have no. So you might not have direct competitors, but you always have what?
Competition.
Competition.
And that's-
So as soon as someone says that, red flag, the investor says, gone. Okay? You destroy the entire presentation, how good it was, because there was that stupid red flag. Okay, so get rid of all the red flags. One of the things I learned from a really cool guy named Sean Wise. Sean used to be the executive director or producer for Dragon's Den. So the year after I won the $1 Billion Idea competition, I helped two Canadian teams. They both got in the top 10. Turns out that year nobody got money. The year after that, Dragon's Den came to Canada. And I said to people, I kind of have a knack for this. 10 companies came to me and said, we want to get on the TV. How many of those you think made it on the TV? Every single one of them, right? So I have a knack for this. But one of the things I learned is I learned from a guy named Sean Wise who came to Calgary one day, and he talked about owning the channel. How do you find a way to own the channel that customers would use to get to you? And what is that channel today? What is the channel?
The internet.
The internet. It's basically Google. So the whole idea is you want to try and find a way to leverage social media or whatever it is, so when someone types up something relevant to what you do, you somehow show up. Own the channel. Okay? Eliminate the risks. When you miss in your business plan, what are the risks associated with your business? That's another way that there are red flags. There's always risks in your business. The question is, how can you mitigate those risks? And what can you do if you need to have a contingency plan? So eliminate the risks. Make people realize what you have is you have this inevitability and they don't want to miss out on your story. It's amazing how many investors, angel investors or otherwise, all have these stories of the one that got away. It's like all the fishermen, right? Oh, I could have invested in Google, but I didn't think it was a really good idea. I saw Facebook the first time it came out when they had 100,000 users, and I thought that would never work. I heard of Alibaba when it was this guy's 5th time at bat, and I'm like, he failed the first time round, or first 4-time round. Never gonna happen. But if you can make people be afraid they're gonna miss out, they tend to act. So help them somehow realize that you're involved in a market that is big and growing. If the market's getting smaller, they're not going to be all that excited about getting back in. And that somehow you can be the standard in that industry. This is the bullseye. It's not easy to do, but it's something to aim for. Okay? Any questions about what do you want to have in a pitch? I know it's a lot.
Is there anything you do different for a sponsor in terms of investment?
So what's the purpose for a sponsor pitch? When you say sponsor, what is a sponsor?
Well, you're looking for some of the same things like mentorship and whatever, but you're looking for like money into the business.
So I think it's I think it's different based upon the format that you use. Okay? So I'm just going to give you some examples. ATB, okay, 3 minutes, 3 slides. You want to tell your story. How did I get here? Then they want to tell their story about what is the product and what success that they had so far with the product. Then they talk about the campaign that they have. And what you're basically doing is you're competing against all the other people on stage for money from the audience. You get 3 slides, 3 minutes. And the way to make it work is your story, your product, right? And what are you going to do with the money they give you? Okay? Spark is something they do at the eHub up at U of A. Basically 1 slide, 3 minutes. My modified version is 3 slides in 3 minutes. What is the problem that you're solving? What is the solution? And why do you think your idea will work? The original version is 1 slide in 3 minutes. I don't think you can do a good job and have a visual that represents all 3 of those unless you have 3 pictures on 1 slide. And I'm a much bigger fan of having 1 picture in an entire slide. Okay? Babson College. I do a lot of stuff for Babson College. They call them rocket pitches. They're 4 slides. Same thing, 3 minutes. What is the opportunity and what is your value proposition? What are the kinds of words you use to describe your value proposition? Verbs. There are no nouns in a value proposition. Okay? How big is the market? That's what they want to know. How are you going to make money? What are your revenue streams? I'm a big fan of every business should have at least 2 or 3 different ways to make money. Because if one of them doesn't work, hopefully the other 2 will. And then there's this ask at the end. Okay? Goldman Sachs puts people through a 13-week program. They're generally successful small businesses that have a big idea. It's like, what is the opportunity you're chasing? What are you measuring so you know you're on the right track? And then how can other people help? Okay? That's the Goldman Sachs piece. I have 7 Ps. This is my 7 Ps. I've got 5 minutes. I have 7 Ps. What's the pain or problem? What's the potential? So there's the market size. Okay? What am I selling? How am I different? What is my plan to get to market? Who are the people that are involved? And what's going to happen at the end? So figure out a format that works for you. Guy Kawasaki has his own 10-20, right? He has 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30-size font. Make it readable. Are you guys doing anything with Innovate Calgary?
Not with CEC, no.
Okay. So they have, so if you want to see more about Guy's stuff, there's my shortened link for Guy's 10, 20, 30. Remember, the capitals matter. Okay, so he wrote a whole blog post about this 10, 20, 30. Innovate Calgary has 12 questions. Okay. Why should I pay attention? Do you understand what the problem is? So they have their own format. And it's a little hard to see, and when I print out get the PDF, they have a whole guide about how to make this work. And these were in line a little while ago. So I'm just going to give you an example of what I did. Okay? So this, when I pitched to Tim Draper, this is what I used. Okay, is this good or bad?
right?
It sucks. Okay? Now I have a story. I have one slide. You can tell an entire story with one little picture. Okay? That is way better than those bullet points. Okay? I started out with an Excel spreadsheet like this. Does anybody know which number is most important up there?
The bottom
The
one.
yellow ones, maybe. But I mean, there's way too much data. Instead of something like this, use a pie chart. Okay? I used to talk about the product. It was good for salespeople and businesses and groups and associations. And I learned you can't tell people, you have to what? Show them. So I learned to show them. Right? You got an idea that's $10,000, right? You put it inside the machine. It figures out who should you pass the deal on to. Once we collect the funds, we give a bunch back to the salesperson that gave us the money. They get to see how it works. We don't tell them how it works. Now, I'm hurrying a little because I want to be done by 9. It's the first time I've done all 3 together, so I might have a little too much content, but I'm going to go through it anyway. I used to have this as my position. This is why my competition slide, right? So I had a list of all my competitors, or what was my competition. Back then I called them competitors because they didn't know any better. And then I just said, I gave them an example and a weakness. Now I talk about the plan, right? Where's the, this hasn't changed much. I'm a big fan of this. But what I would do differently, I would put visuals inside the squares, not words. So for example, I might put one big red X or a green check mark. If I'm going to put dollar signs, I might put one that's green, 2 might be orange, and 3 might be red. But try to find a way to put visuals in here instead of words. People would get it a whole lot quicker. I had a plan. My whole plan was to go after groups, and then I would move on from there. But it didn't tell the investors that I knew what made my business work. So what I learned is I said, well, the plan's pretty easy. I'm going to reach 5 million salespeople. I'm going to convert 2% of those 5 million. I'm then going to put a bunch of opportunities in the funnel. I'm going to make a bunch of money on this end. This then says to people, what are the things that matter and what actually drives my business? Now, there's a red flag in this.
You can reach 5 million people.
Now, when I told you about how many B2B salespeople are there in North America, remember how many I said there were? 3 million. So if there's only 3 million B2B salespeople in North America, how am I going to reach 5 million? Right? Sorry? Globally. Who said that? Yeah, that was the answer. But that was the investors were like, well, how are you going to get to 5 million? Well, there's companies like Germany and Australia, but they were like, oh, there's a red flag. It was a gotcha. But it turns out that, yeah, I actually had an answer. But that could have been a potential red flag. Most people will listen. Venture capitalists are smart people. They hear things, right? They would catch that really quickly. Question?
Could you use the red flags to generate interest in your proposal though? Like, you'd have to have...
In general, no, because here's what happens. Remember that confirmation bias? It's off or it's on. It's on until you say what? I have no competition. And it's turned off. And then they no longer listen and you cannot change them, right? They've made an emotional decision. You can, God knows, we all saw what happened down in the US, right? Emotion outdoes logic. Okay? So you have to realize we try to pitch logically, but they're hearing emotionally. So yeah, so one of the things that they talk about in the 12 questions, first of all, you go for their hearts, then for their minds, and then for their wallets. But you have to engage them emotionally first. And if someone has become emotionally disengaged, well, you're an idiot, you have no competition. Yeah, okay. And then at that point, they just stop listening. Okay? This is my management team. Is this good or bad?
Yeah. Picture the face.
But, so yeah, I totally agree. I haven't gotten there, but yes, having a picture and then logos would be way better than putting this up. People are gonna go, wow, hang on a second. You have this lady? Anybody heard of a company called Blurb? Make your own books. This lady's been backed by VCs now 5 times over. She's on deal number 6. Okay? If I could put all the logos up that she's been involved with, they're like, oh, hang on a second. I know that. They would see the logo way faster than they read the name. So if I had a chance to redo this, I would have exactly pictures of all the people, right? And I would put logos up. So 9 o'clock, 5 minutes left. I came here to do what? Turn on this thing called selective perception. So anytime you get an opportunity to pitch. Whenever you go to an event, always take what? Business cards, okay? Now, when you go to most events, how do you get there? You drive. So when you have a box of business cards, where should your box of business cards be? In your car. So if you ever run out, guess what? You've always got more, okay? But the real reason I came today was to get you to jump. So this is where I want you to go pair up with somebody in the room you don't already know. Okay, I want you to trade cards. You can't trade cards. Text each other your contact file if you have it in your own phone. And I want you to tell the other person, okay, we got 3 or 4 minutes to do this. Go find somebody you don't already know. Tell the other person what are you going to do differently based upon what we talked about in the last 2.5 hours. Okay, go find somebody, take a couple minutes. What are you going to do differently based on what you've heard? One thing, just one. Okay, just get started. Go. Stand up, go meet somebody, make that commitment. Let's go. Go do something based on this. Just what's up? There's a guy in the air drink because they're like half the price. I've been driving for hours right now. Big red flag. Content matters. Okay? So it does. And then the question is, do I want to invest in someone like you? Are you someone who's easy to do business with, or are you an asshole that don't? So if you break it down to confidence, integrity, doesn't mean that things are and each is worth a third. So you can get away with 2/3. You can't get away with 1/3. So if you're confident, you're going to be content, maybe they'll oversee their character. If you don't have confidence, but you have your content, you have your character, there's no one that you have confidence. But you need to have at least 2 things. Right? That's the way I think about it. Okay, 30 seconds more, and I'm going to have you go back to your seats. Let's make sure you both made that commitment. So you're getting off your feet, right? Okay, 15 seconds. Let's make our way back to our seat. 5, 4, 3. Be quick. Hey, let's get everybody back to their seats. I have one thing to say before we finish. So, throughout this entire presentation, there was a hidden message. Does anybody want to guess what my hidden message was in this presentation? Ask. If you want something, you have to what? Ask. So I think I would be a hypocrite if I actually didn't ask something of you. And I actually have 2 asks. Here's my first ask. I'm going to ask you to hold the other person accountable for the commitment that they just made to you. But more importantly, here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask you to hold yourself accountable for the commitment you just made to the other person. Okay? I can hang around for about 30 minutes, but that's what I came to talk about. If you have any questions, make sure you show your business cards. I look forward to seeing all of you at the finals. Good luck.
So we're just about done here. I don't think I can really say anything after that presentation. What a way to kick off. I just want to, everybody once again, give a big thanks to Craig. That was, So next week, because this is just the start. So next week we're going to have a really great night for you. We're going to start off with an entrepreneur panel where we're going to bring in some former contestants and entrepreneurs that you guys can ask pretty well whatever you want. We do have a forum up in the app that you guys see there, Event Mobi. I need to update my slides, obviously, because I put too much information. So I'm sure you've already read it.
There we go.
So make sure that you check out that app, go to the forums, and put any questions that you have for the entrepreneurs there. For those of you that are in Lethbridge, MNP is going to be coming next week, and they're going to bring pizza with them. So come a little bit early. We're going to have it delivered between 6 and 6:30, and we're going to have some pizza while we talk to those entrepreneurs.
May we please have a little bit of gluten-free pizza?
I can put that request in, definitely, and I will make sure to write that down.
Will it show up this year?
Yes. Someone's been here before, but yes, we are having pizza next week, and then we're going to talk to MNP, and they're going to give us a little bit of perspective on business as well. So if there are any questions, my business cards I'll put on the front table here, so anyone that wants to come and grab one, go ahead. All of you should have my email address. And for those that are joining us from distance, if you have any questions, you can contact me or your local community features office. And that is everything. You are dismissed. You have a question? Yeah.
Are you gonna email out the YouTube address? Or
Yeah. So we'll email as of tomorrow or the day after, depending on how long they get us to take us to update. We will send out a link to the YouTube so you guys can watch this later. And we'll also make it available through the app as well. And we'll do the same with any resources that we have, like the PowerPoint. All right, guys, if you have any questions.